Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the upcoming Xbox Scarlett. Xbox Scarlett is Microsoft's next generation Xbox that will be coming out next year. This is the Xbox 2, the Xbox One X2. This is Microsoft's next generation Xbox console to compete with Sony's PlayStation 5. So Xbox and Microsoft, they've actually announced this console already. They've already shown off a trailer for it. And they've also shown off a trailer for Halo Infinite running on this system. And we've had some details about it. We know that it will be running off of an AMD CPU. And it will also feature Nvme graphics on it. And it will also feature like hardware ray tracing and a couple other things. But a lot of the super fine details about the console's hardware are under lock and key, and there's been a lot of rumors going around about that, saying that Microsoft is holding out on their dev kits right now and keeping a lot of that information from developers. That way they can hopefully try and surprise Sony, because as of now, they're still almost probably 10, 11 months before launch. So if they just go out and they announce the dev kits and they announce what's going to be all the hardware and stuff, Sony can easily beat them. Just kind of like what they did with the original Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, how the Xbox One was going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the PlayStation 4 was initially, I believe, only going to have 4 gigabytes of RAM. So Sony hurried and changed their specs for the PS4 in just a matter of hours after Xbox announced their console was going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM. So Sony made their console have 8 gigabytes of RAM as well. So sources are saying that Microsoft is kind of keeping that all to themselves for now, that they're not sending out a lot of dev kits just yet. And that's kind of frustrating some developers, but that's all rumors. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about some of the Xbox Scarlett leaks and some of the specs going on behind it and a few other things. So first off, this is coming from Twitter. This is coming from Xbox's head, Phil Spencer. So on Twitter, he's tweeted out, he said, "And it started. This week, I brought my Project Scarlett console home, and it's become my primary console. Playing my games, connecting to the community, and yes, using my Elite Series 2 controller. Having a blast. Great work by the team. 2020 is going to be an incredible year." So Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, is literally playing the next generation Xbox at home right now. He has one in his living room and his house. This dude's playing on a console that doesn't even come out for another year. That's absolutely crazy. He's obviously playing off of a dev kit, but the interesting thing to note here is that, he mentions that he's using his Elite Series 2 controller on this. He's playing his Xbox One games, connecting to the community, and it's his primary console. So he no longer uses an Xbox One or an Xbox One S or an Xbox One X. Right now, and for the foreseeable future, he's going to be using his Project Scarlett. So a couple of important things to take away from this tweet. One of them is that he's using his Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. So all of your controllers, all of your accessories will work with this next-gen system. We've already known that, but just as a refresher, all of it will work. So if you are like me and you barely bought, an Xbox Elite Controller Series 2, don't worry. You can use that on your Xbox One. But you can also use it on the next generation Xbox Scarlett. Any headsets you might have, any accessories, anything that you have that works with your Xbox One will work on your Project Scarlett. So you don't need to buy all new controllers or all new headsets or anything. You can literally just keep the ones that you have from this generation and continue to use them with this new console. And he also says here that, he's playing his same game. So he's playing Xbox One games on Xbox Scarlett. So it will be backwards compatible. Plus, you're going to be able to play any Xbox One games and the existing Xbox 360 backwards compatibility library and even the original Xbox backwards compatibility library. And he says connecting to the community. So it seems like parties and other things like that, probably achievements and stuff, will still track in between them. So you could be in a party with somebody who's on an Xbox One, but you're on a Project Scarlett. So it's not going to be like the 360 where it was a true generation cutoff. This one will actually incorporate things from last gen as well. So you're going to be able to be in a party together. So if you have a friend who has not gotten the Project Scarlett yet, but you have it, you're still going to be able to hop into an Xbox party with them. You're still going to be able to play the same games with them, but you're going to have a more powerful console. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the target specs for this. So Xbox Cloud Architect Kareem Chowdhury has actually said in regards to the Project Scarlett that it could, quote, "eat monsters for breakfast." Now this is just like a marketing speak, but several sources have actually confirmed that the Xbox Scarlett will be targeting around 12 teraflops of computing power. So if you compare that to the Xbox One X, if you guys remember some of the pre-release stuff about that, is that the Xbox One X was supposed to be the most powerful console ever, and it still is. It's the most powerful console ever, but that was targeting 6 teraflops. So this new console is targeting twice as powerful as the current Xbox One X. And the current Xbox One X, it's an amazing console. It does a lot of things great. It plays a lot of games at 4K, 60 frames per second. But now, if we have a console that's literally double that, then you're going to have absolutely no trouble smashing 4K 60 FPS in every single game out there. Plus, maybe 8K. I mean, they did say that this console will have 8K support. But as I discussed in the last video about the Project Scarlett, the Project Scarlett will also have a sister console that will release alongside it, codenamed the Xbox LOCKHART. So Scarlett is also codenamed ANACONDA. ANACONDA, Scarlett, they're kind of synonymous, like they're interchangeable. So ANACONDA, Scarlett, it's the same SKU, but the LOCKHART console is going to be a different one. So we've talked about that in a separate video, but as for the teraflops for the LOCKHART console, it will be targeting around 4 teraflops. So that is actually less than the current Xbox One X. That's actually more in line with like a PlayStation 4 Pro. But this LOCKHART console has been leaked and has been rumored for a number of years now. It's been like over 2 years, like 2 or 3 years that the LOCKHART console has actually been rumored about. Some of the earliest rumors about the LOCKHART console were that this console was going to be like a streaming only console, so it wasn't going to have to actually be that powerful. It, could only have 4 teraflops, but you could use xCloud and be able to play Xbox Anaconda or Xbox Scarlett games, the full 12 teraflops on your 4 teraflop console. So obviously the selling point of like a 4 teraflop console compared to a 12 teraflop console would be that it'd be vastly cheaper. So it seems like Microsoft is planning on releasing 2 Xbox consoles simultaneously next year. A super powerful Xbox Project Scarlett console, the successor to the Xbox One X, and then an Xbox LOCKHART, which is more of a successor to the current Xbox One S. The Xbox One S has 1.4 teraflops, so this is over twice as many teraflops as the current Xbox One S, so it'll definitely be replacing that. But all this talk about teraflops doesn't really mean that much. It's just kind of like a way to measure performance, but this doesn't like directly mean like, oh, this has twice the teraflops as the Xbox One X, so it'll get twice as many frames in game or twice the resolution. Like, that's not how it works. But rumors have it that both the LOCKHART and the ANACONDA, so the LOCKHART and the Scarlett, they're both going to have 8 CPU cores, 8 Zen 2 CPU cores, part of AMD's new Ryzen 3000 series CPU cores, 8 CPU cores targeting about 3.5 gigahertz on all cores. Now, that's actually pretty incredible. And then they say that the Xbox Anaconda will have a little bit higher frequency over the LOCKHART. So each CPU core is going to be clocked a little bit higher on the Anaconda compared to the Scarlett. And in the article where all these sources come from, they say that the relatively modest increase in clock speed over the previous gen systems may seem mild, but vast improvements to caching, new silicon architecture, and other general bespoke proprietary optimizations will see Anaconda perform anywhere from 4 to 5 times better than the Xbox One X if targets are met. So even though the current Xbox One, Xbox One X, all that stuff, like clock speeds are, somewhat similar. Like the new systems are definitely clocked higher, but it's, kind of around the same thing. There is going to be still a huge uplift in CPU performance on these new systems because of different architecture differences from new IPC increases. Higher frequencies definitely will help, but also better caching, like they say here. Zen 2 has an amazing cache system, and we should be able to just get vastly better performance out of this CPU in the Xbox Scarlett than we had in the Xbox One, Xbox One S, and the Xbox One X. Because keep in mind that the Xbox One, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X, they were all based on a Jaguar CPU, which is actually a mobile CPU from around 2013, whereas the Xbox Scarlett and Xbox LOCKHART, Anaconda, these systems are actually based on AMD's desktop chips, their Zen 2 architecture, which has actually been released this year in 2019. So it's based around a desktop chip rather than a mobile chip, so it should perform a lot better. So as for RAM, a lot of these leaks say that Anaconda will guarantee at least 13 gigabytes of RAM for games, but it will reserve 3 gigabytes of it for the operating system for little background tasks and different stuff like that. Now, if you compare that to the current Xbox One X, the Xbox One X offers a maximum of 9 gigabytes for games, and then the remaining 3 are locked in for the operating system. So if you compare the Anaconda to the Xbox One X, it will have an extra 4 gigabytes of RAM for games, and will have the same 3 gigabytes of RAM for the operating system. But one thing that will definitely help out the operating system and in general is the new SSD storage. So Microsoft has even stated that the SSD can be used as a virtual RAM. So since SSDs are so much faster than hard drives, you could actually kind of use them as RAM. I mean, obviously they're not like almost anywhere as fast as RAM, but it's still a lot faster than a hard drive and can be used as kind of virtual RAM. It would definitely be like a lot slower RAM, but theoretically you could still do it. But for the storage on both the Lockhart and the Anaconda, so the Lockhart and the Scarlett, these two consoles are reportedly going to feature a proprietary NVMe SSD. So the internal drive of the system, the internal storage is going to be a proprietary NVMe SSD. So NVMe SSDs are absolutely incredible. I have one rocking in my main gaming PC. It's amazing. If you guys have not seen how SSDs perform, then you guys definitely need to look that up. Basically, I can open up any program on my computer in just a matter of seconds. I can open up games and have them ready at the main menu screen in less than 20 seconds. It's absolutely incredible. Now you compare that to a spinning hard drive, and those things just chug and chug and chug. So this, I think, is going to be one of the biggest changes and things that stand out to consumers on this new system. It's just how fast you're going to be able to load into games, and no more loading screens. All this stuff is just going to be cut down so much, and just overall system responsiveness, the dashboard and going through the menus and stuff is going to be so much quicker because it's going to be run off of an NVMe SSD, and data is going to be swapped in from an SSD, an NVMe SSD, to the RAM, and just swapping back and forth rather than the current Xbox going between RAM and a slow hard drive. In this article, they also say that games will function across all generations, but the new features that are going to be coming with this new generation, such as ray tracing, will actually be exclusive to the Lockhart and Anaconda consoles, because they're probably going to require new APIs as part of the Game Core OS, which is apparently also part of the Windows Core OS. So don't really expect to be doing any ray tracing on your Xbox One X, but the Lockhart and Anaconda are both going to feature specific hardware built in for ray tracing, so you should be able to ray trace just about anything on these new systems since they're hardware accelerated. And then we also know that the GPU in this console will actually be a AMD Nvme GPU, and just like how it will feature real-time hardware accelerated ray tracing, the GPU in this console should be a lot more powerful. So overall, what this all means at the end of the day for the consumers is faster loading and way better looking and performing games as well. So we're pretty much going to be able to knock any game at 4K 60 FPS just out of the park. 4K 60 FPS is going to be an absolute minimum on this console. You're going to be able to hit that in just about any game, and even current games on the current system. So in this article, they gave an example for Monster Hunter World. They say it struggles to maintain 60 FPS on the Xbox One X, even in its performance mode. But as we saw with the Xbox One X when that released, even without updates for these games, just this beefed up hardware will be able to just absolutely smooth over any of those hitches and be able to take all these games to their absolute performance limits. So any game that dips below 60 FPS or anything like that will absolutely be 100% locked to 60 FPS now. And if it has a dynamic resolution, so if there's a game but it uses dynamic resolution to drop down from 4K to 1800p or anything like that, it's pretty much going to be locked at 4K the entire time. It'll be maxing out the frame rates, maxing out resolutions and stuff, and all without the developers even putting out updates for these games too. So that's all the information we have right now about the Project Scarlett, so the Xbox Scarlett or the Anaconda, and the Xbox Lockhart currently. Like I said, I also have another video going over specifically about the Anaconda and the Lockhart, so make sure you guys go and check that video out. But that's all the information we have today, guys. Phil Spencer is actually playing on this right now at home. That is absolutely insane. It's going to be an incredibly powerful piece of hardware, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So there you guys go. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll see you guys next time.